There's a phone booth in the woods. It was morning when I found the letter in my mailbox, hidden at the bottom beneath the credit card spam and coupon pages. It was clean, fresh, and white, sealed perfectly closed. There were no markings to indicate where it came from, nor where it was supposed to be delivered. There was no postage stamp. I wondered to myself if it was poisoned, fidgeting with the ring on my finger before deciding there was nothing to lose. I brought it inside, tossing all the other junk in the trash. I sat at the kitchen counters examining it one last time before I carefully opened it. Inside was a folded piece of paper. I unfolded it to see it was mostly blank, except for 3 lines of text in the center. The first 2 lines were a random sequence of numbers. The third, the very last one, was normal writing. It read as follows: "Midnight, when the month renews." I called into work sick because I knew this was unusual and I wanted to figure out what it was. After about 40 minutes of internet searching, I realized that the numbers were coordinates, listing longitude and latitude, and the last line of text meant 12 a.m. October 1st. When I checked to see where the coordinates were for, the little marker on Google Earth plopped down exactly on the cross-section of the 2 numbers. It was the middle of the forest, 2 hours outside of the city I lived in, or at least that's what the satellite images from 2011 said it was. Perhaps it had become developed by now. I was anxious all day, wondering if I should go to see if it wasn't a trap, that I wasn't going to be kidnapped. But I quickly concluded if someone planned to commit a crime against me, they'd be less obvious. They would not make me aware, and especially not in such a peculiar manner. And so I chose to wait until it was 9 p.m., and then I set off into the night. Thanks to the lack of traffic, it didn't take me 2 hours to get there, only 1 hour 40. I parked by the side of the highway in the grass so I wouldn't get a ticket or towed, and followed my phone's directions into the forest. I wasn't sure what I was supposed to find as I hiked deeper and deeper. The anxiety returned, and I began to doubt my decision. This was too sketchy, my brain was telling me as the flashlight paved the way forward. Still, my curiosity couldn't help itself, and I continued on nonetheless. I found the phone booth in a slight clearing, as though the trees had consciously made space for it. It was so bizarre to see, like a droplet of artificial civilization in the endless unruly woodlands. I approached it, assuming that this was what I was supposed to find. The windows were dark, but the door was unlocked. I stepped inside. The door shut itself behind me. The lights above me flickered half-heartedly before blasting fully on. The sterile white of the fluorescence revealed in front of me a gleaming black phone resting on its holder. It began to rattle, ringing alarmingly and breaking the silence. I reached for it instinctively and held the phone to my right ear. "Hello?" I spoke into it. All I could hear on the other end was crying. A woman. Her age I couldn't tell. I tried to calm her down and asked if she needed help, but she either couldn't hear me or didn't care what I had to say. She just kept crying and crying. Soon her crying began to fade, as though she were walking away from the phone. It disappeared like a song on the radio does near its end, before a new song takes its place. Soon another person's voice filled my ears. "Hello?" said the voice, this time a man, probably in his 40s. "Hello," I tried to say, but before I could finish, the man interjected. "Where's Margie?" "Margie who?" I asked. "Margie, my wife Margie. Where is she? We were just eating dinner together. Now I can't see," he explained. I don't know, sir. Where are you?" But he didn't answer. Only silence responded. I felt goosebumps ripple down my spine. Who were these people I was talking to? They sounded like they were confused, and possibly in danger. Why had I been brought here? Why were they speaking to me? How could I help them? A high-pitched voice, a little boy's voice, began talking. "Mom? Dad?" "No, I'm sorry. This isn't your parents. Are you lost?" I asked him. "Yeah," he said, clearly frightened. "I don't know where I am. Everything's dark. I fell asleep, and when I woke up, I was here, and now I can't find anyone." "Okay, don't be scared. I'm here. What's your name?" "Josh," he said softly. Okay, Josh. I'll help you find your parents. Just stay on the phone, okay?" But Josh didn't say anything back. Again, the silence and a murmur of static crackled in the phone. I put a hand over my mouth, clearly disturbed. I then heard another woman, this one young, with a lovely voice. I only heard her for a moment. She was singing. Her voice came and left in the same way you hear a car drive by you on the highway. It crescendoed, it peaked, and then it slowly waned as it moved away from me. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound. "Hello?" I asked. Silence again, this time for a few moments. I shivered, now fully creeped out at hearing such random voices in despair or hysteria. I felt like hanging up and going back to my car. I wanted to drive home and forget that I ever even missed work for this. Was this a prank? Was someone trying to mess with me? To scare me? Then I heard her voice. "Mark?" said the woman. I blinked, staring ahead through the glass, which only displayed the dark trees a few feet away. "This isn't possible," I murmured. "Mark, it's me," said my fiancé. "It's Emily." I held my hand to my eyes, tears coating my palms as I brushed them away. I smiled into the speaker, laughing a little, then moaned in sadness. "Emily?" I stated. "Yes, Mark." Her voice was warm, familiar, and cozy, like blankets inside by the fire on a snowy day. It was so odd to hear. I hadn't heard her for a long time. It was so surreal to me, like watching one of your favorite cartoons you liked as a kid, but now you're an adult. Recognizable, but vibrant and unordinary to your everyday life. "How long has it been?" "So long, baby. So long," she said. I wanted to ask her how she had been. Where was she? How she was doing? But she wouldn't let me talk. "Mark," she said, "I don't have long. I've tried to reach you because I need you to know I love you. I loved you. But you need to move on. You need to find happiness without me." I nodded to myself, my eyes clouded. "I know," I said, my voice cracking. I sobbed a little before continuing. "I know, Emily. I know. It's been so hard without you." I started crying again. Emily's voice was calm, unwavering, and soothing. "I know, baby. I know," she said. "It's been hard for me too. But I need you to find happiness, or you'll waste your life away." I could hear her beginning to fade, and I knew our time was almost up. I said one last time in tragic desperation, as I knew I wouldn't have much left to do so. "I love you," I said. "I love you, Emily." "I love you too, Mark," she said, like she was 20 feet away from me. And then she was gone. I hung up, being unable to bear any more conversation. I don't know how long I stood there crying. Maybe an hour and a half. Eventually it was 3 a.m. when I finally made it back to my car. I didn't have the energy to drive back. I was filled with so much pain, so I just fell asleep and dreamt about Emily and I. When I awoke, it was the next morning, October 1st. I knew I shouldn't, but I tried going back to where the phone booth was. I tried finding it again, to see if I could talk with her one last time. But after hiking through the leaves and overgrowth, I found it was no longer in the spot it had been. In its place was a decapitated stump of an old tree. On my way home this morning, I wondered if I had just dreamed the whole thing, that my mind was playing tricks on me, that I had just driven on the highway and pulled over to sleep because I was too exhausted to make it home from wherever I had decided to go. But when I got home, the letter was still there, with 3 lines of text. Only the coordinates had changed, as had the 3rd sentence. At the height of the full moon. I looked up the location of the new coordinates, and it showed a spot in the wilderness in the Sierra Nevada mountains on the opposite side of the country. It was an hour or 2 from a city called Fresno. I stored it in a photo album along with the photos of Emily and I before the crash. Today I called in sick again to work. When I go in tomorrow, I'll give them my 2 weeks' notice. I've called the hotels in the Central Valley. I've made arrangements. In about a week or 2, I'll be heading out to California so I can try to find it again. That phone booth in the woods. The phone booth that lets you speak to the dead.